Uh, Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the Eureka Springs CAPC meeting for March 22nd, 2023 at 3 p.m. And let's do roll call. David Avanzino.
Present.
Steve Holyfield.
Present.
Chris Clifton's present. Would note that currently Jeff Carter is absent. Chris Jones is absent. Mark Hicks is absent, yet we think he will call in. All right. I was going to make a couple of quick comments. One, just appreciate working with you guys, and I really do feel like, even though some of the group's not here, we've been establishing some unity on promoting tourism and marketing for Eureka Springs. Just encourage everyone to get behind Scott, work, try to help him as much as we can. And I've been encouraged out and about, going to businesses and meetings, talking to people. I know Scott has, and I believe Steve has, and I'm sure David has, and some of the others, but talking to people, trying to connect more with the community, trying to work together, and I see other groups eager to everybody work together, and so that's really exciting.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker and put you on the mic.
Okay, and for roll call purposes, Mark wanted to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For roll, Mark Hicks?
Here.
Okay, let it be known that Mark
There.
Hicks is present. Okay. And then one last comment was, we've had a couple executive sessions, and I know that there are trust issues from the past, and just want to genuinely reassure people we are not trying to do any business in executive session. The last two were specifically for staffing issues, and to protect we do have to manage personnel, and so to kind of protect those employees in that process is merely what it was for. There was no business conducted, just discussion, and then we came out. Motion was made rather quickly. I really wanted to explain that better. So pardon me for not slowing things down and stating there was no business transpired at all, just discussion about personnel. With that, we need to approve minutes, but we still can approve what?
Can approve last.
We can approve the last meeting minutes. That would be from January, February, which ones? We've had so many meetings, it's getting. February 22nd.
Correct. That's the last one.
Correct. Was our last.
We can't do that one. Because we don't have 4 people. Mark Hicks wasn't there, so.
Mark, you weren't at that one. Okay, so we'll have to table that until we have appropriate amount of commissioners that were present for those minutes. Moving on to financials. Scott?
February 28, 2023. Looking at, it's listed on your document as A1. If you'll see a cash in bank at February 28th of $1,869,375.60. Going to Section A, under February of this year, the one we just ended the month, we had a food and beverage of $50,110. Our budget was $60,000, so we came under $9,890. Under food and lodging, for February 2023, we collected $69,766 Our budget was $40,000, so we were up $29,766 on that category. Total collections, actual was $119,876. Our budget was $100,000 even, so we had a net increase of $19,876, which is a 20% increase over budget. Looking at year-to-date collections for 2023 for the month of January and February, total collections received $247,377. The budget for those 2 months total was $250,000, and that is a decrease of $2,623, which is less than 1%. Now, at any time during this, if you have questions, just say so. Okay, please. Under Section B, I compare February of '23 to February of '22. So in February, food and lodging for February of 2023, we collected $50,110. In February of 2022, we collected $56,976, which is a decrease of $6,866. Under lodging for 2023, we collected $69,766. February of 2022, we collected $37,216, which is an increase of $32,550, or 87% increase in that category. If you compare January and February collections for 2023, we have a total of $247,377. And comparing January and February of 2022, we had collected $238,700. So those comparisons would reflect an increase of $8,677, or 4%.
So I think last month we had, we were short. We were short.
Right,
we were
right.
talking about, thought some of that was collections that would wash out, and it looks
Right.
like it did.
It
Okay.
did. So that's where we stand now. I think one thing to remember is we've gone from a $1.796 million budget to over $2 million. So we're striving to attain that higher overall budget. But I also believe that these 2 months in collections, starting in March, we should be seeing a substantial increase in tax collections. So these are the two, in my opinion, the weaker months of the 12.
Right.
That's what we've just gotten through, basically.
Okay.
So we're healthy in that respect. Schedule A2 is your balance sheet. Those 4 accounts are our banking account at CS Bank. Those numbers tie exactly back to our balance sheet information I gave you on Schedule A1. If you'll notice down on schedule, this is account 3003, other liabilities. Last month, the commission approved funding for $18,000. And in order to help you maintain what's left that is uncommitted, I went ahead and encumbered those expenses. So that's why you see $18,000 there. And as people bring their receipts to me and I reimburse them, if it's less than what we budgeted, that number will be decreasing. It will balance out at the end of the funding. Under Schedule A3, you'll see our February 2023 breakdown of the food collections and lodging. And as you see, our restaurant collections were always substantially higher. The gross sales was $1,425,200. And as you see, and their lodging, the B&B, the hotel and motel are very close, including the Airbnb. Those 4 are really vying for what could be number 1 there, and I haven't seen that before. So that's telling me that people are reaching out and going to different venues for lodging, whereas before it might have been hotel or motel was the strongest. So I'm seeing an increase in those areas, which was good. And also note our delinquent collections are down, which is also a reflection of people realizing that they need to get their returns in on time. So if If you look at Schedule A4, this is our financial statement, our income statement for February of 2023. If you look at where it says total income, we've had a total income of $126,709.89 to a budgeted for all of those categories of $116,165. So we're in the positive $10,544.89, which is right at 9.1% increase. So that's the figure I look at overall. Our income, I did check with our banking to make sure what type interest we're earning, and we're earning over 4.75% with our money in the bank. And that was close to what I had expected and what other businesses are getting right now. So I did check that out to make sure we're getting the most return on our money in the bank. If you look at item number 5067, marketing support, there's the $18,000 I expensed in the month of February, and that ties back to the current liabilities section on account 3003. So basically out of, I think it was $30,000. There's $12,000 left in marketing support that's uncommitted at this moment in time. All of the other expenses, I did have a, under account 5030 under Folk Fest, I did have an expense that came in that was related to Folk Fest from last year that I wasn't aware of, but it was an expenditure that belonged in that line item, so that's why it's coded there. Let's see. Pretty much everything was in line with what I expected. If you notice at the bottom under odd concessions, this on account 6097 odd concession expense, that's where we started stocking up our supplies for concessions with the concerts coming up. That's really pretty much on that I see.
Scott, what was the the reason that Folk Festival, what's the story behind that?
My opinion is there was commitments made that I wasn't aware of. And when the bills come in and I see that we do owe that, I think it had to do with some purchases of merchandise material for promos, such as hats or T-shirts, that I wasn't aware of. And when I went out and talked to the vendor, they asked me about it, and that was my first knowledge.
Was that something the CAPC purchased, or? Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Not
That's what
an
that was.
outside party.
And when I talked to the vendors, I said, you got to understand this. Regardless of who comes out and tells you they're going to charge it to CAPC and they'll pay for it, unless you hear from me or you have a PO in writing, that's the only time that I'm going to be responsible for that action of paying for it using CAPC money. In the past years, it's been known that people would get funding for marketing support and they'll go out and say, hey, CAPC is going to pay this, and et cetera. And I think this is a rollover from that mentality back in the day.
So, well, my question was, did CAPC staff purchase something and the bill came late? Or
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I didn't know anything about it till I happened to go out there and talk to them.
What you're getting at is a support role that billed us, right? I'm trying to understand.
Well, that's what happened.
Okay.
I went out to the vendor and was talking to him about doing some other work for us for the odd, and that was brought up in conversation. And then I do remember that occurring, but I don't remember, I remember seeing the merchandise, but I never thought about it being a CAPC expense, because I wasn't told that's what, and I hadn't seen any paperwork on it, so.
And this wasn't the result of a funding request, because we don't fund merchandise.
No, this was
CAPC
related all to
staff.
Folk Fest.
Okay.
Promotional stuff CAPC staff purchased.
And I could, I could have put it under office contingency for, but it needs to belong where it originated, so that you guys can see what it cost us totally over time to fund these events. That's a good question. The rest of it's just normal business.
So I'm just wondering if in the future things like that should go in like the way I understand it, the director has some discretionary funds to promote and market things. Should it be coded under that?
I was looking at it from the point of view as this was a expense for the Folk Fest. Though
Right.
it was in last year, if I'm not mistaken, I remember a conversation 2 meetings ago where Folk Fest went over its budget.
Yeah.
And I don't feel, I'll do what we need to do,
Yeah.
but I don't feel comfortable putting expenditures in a place where I know they should be here so you can see and ask that question.
Yeah.
If I had put it under another account, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to ask that question, and that's what I want you to ask, so.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, so, I'm not,
I know.
I'm thinking, so if, I like the trackability, but then, like, if the staff is spending money, they have to support things, it looks like it goes over in the event. The event looks like it goes over if the money's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I come in at the end. I'm going to probably come to you at 6 months, June, July, and ask you to look at the budget adjustments. And,
Oh, okay.
this is where I would discuss this, and we could all make the best decision. You could tell me how you want to handle this in the future, but, for now, that's where I just felt
Okay.
like that was best to put it.
Okay.
On Schedule A5, this shows a summation of all of our income and expenses for January through February. This is basically the combined income statement for January and February, so. So,
So, Scott, under 6057,
uh-huh.
front of house manager payroll,
6057, I'm sorry.
For auditorium?
because
Yeah.
I was under the impression we don't have a front of house manager.
That is there's where I assign the payroll costs for the individual that's responsible for keeping the inside of this auditorium clean and working with ushers and receiving a product that comes in and kind of managing the inside of this building.
Who is that person?
Sarai.
Soraya? Okay.
Uh-huh. I renamed that account to this so you could see front house manager, because that's really what I think that the position is listed. Though, yeah, that was just easier to point out to you guys to see what it costs to have someone in-house that manages the building interior.
Mark, are you with
Yes.
us? Okay.
Yes, yep.
Honestly, if my memory's right, I think that payroll cost there had been always listed under another account, and I tried to pull out separate expenses into this year's budget to make it clearer as to where we're spending our money. So that's how it showed up this year.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, I think it needs to be broken down in detail.
Yeah, I went detailed
So,
this year so
yeah.
you could see. That way it helps at the end of the year on budgeting for you. The next, under A6, is where we compare, like I said, February of '23's income statement to February of '22. That's always interesting to look at. Yeah. Actually, it looks like in February of '22, we had spent $48,000. And then in February of '23, we've only spent $42,000. So that's underspent by $5,475. So I look at that too. So that tells me we're under budget, which I like to see. Under account 5056, you see that negative $50.31. that's where there was an adjustment on an invoice to our favor. So I think it had been expensed like in January. I don't remember what it was for, but when the actual negotiated invoice came in, there was maybe a missing product or an error on tax or something, and so the net effect of that actual invoice was less by $50.31. So that's why you see that negative amount there. And then on A7, we see January through February 2023, basically our year-to-date. Kind of gives us an idea of where we are financially.
So we had more, I mean, and I'm just curious, the thought process on the budget for the auditory income in January, February. The budget was pretty high, like we were going to.
I looked at that.
I don't understand that.
But we've not had the shows during the January and February period that we had last year.
Okay.
Now, I watched that because the plan is to have, maybe I'll call it catch-up, because we should have enough shows between now and the end of the year to meet our budget. So that's one reason I gave you this sheet of papers to show you what's coming into town and what's booked at the auditorium. Okay. Under Schedule D1, under delinquencies, I have been in touch with the attorney, and I'm going to be filing legal action against item 1, and I'm requesting to have a CAPC tax permit pull from number 2, and I'm in contract negotiations with number 3.
So number 1, pending litigation, are they saying they don't have to pay the tax, or what's actually going on?
No, they're just not paying their tax.
Just not paying.
Just neglect.
Okay.
So I've turned it over to an attorney, and they've got it, they're in the process of doing the legal work to file the right legal papers to get them served and action, and they'll end up going to court.
Okay.
So that's where we're at on that.
So the ones that were on here last meeting, they've caught up?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir. And then on Schedule S1 and S2, this is something I keep up with, so you guys can look back over the past 4 or 5 years to see what our tax collections were by month and by category. This is just one of my Scott worksheets I like to keep up with, because inevitably someone would call me and ask me, well, what was your June or July sales for food in 2020? Well, I can pull this worksheet up and tell them real quick instead of having to dig through records. But I want y'all to see it because it's interesting to me.
Scott, do you know how many Airbnbs, VRBOs, et cetera, that we've issued CAPC licenses to?
I would have to look on my worksheet. That just doesn't come to my mind. It's my memory right now, we have around 375 in taxpayers, that number, and I would say out of that, it's probably a good 50+%.
50% that actually pay the tax?
No, that are categorized as a B&B. Or
Vacation rental?
Well, I'm talking short-term rental as opposed to an actual bed and breakfast.
There's only 2 that I know of, or 3 that qualify for what you're saying as a longer than an overnight stay, but less than a month. For example, we've got one.
Can I interpret?
Yeah.
I think he's asking for vacation rentals, not bed and breakfast, like the old school bed and breakfast.
Yes, I'm talking about a short-term rental that people book on Airbnb,
Yeah.
VRBO,
Just a vacation rental.
Vacasa.
I've got that information, but I've never, it wouldn't be hard to get that to you either, because I separated out
Yeah,
well.
'cause
I never have been asked that, but that's no problem to give you that.
Yeah, I personally want to see it,
Okay.
especially with SB 197 coming down the pike.
That's okay, good.
Because according to these numbers, under lodging, I look at it, S1, under lodging. For the amount of Airbnbs that are listed, and I'm just using Airbnb, or I'll switch it to short-term rentals. That amount of tax remitted seems extremely low with the number of short-term rentals that we have in this city.
I agree.
It's way low.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the time to maybe talk about this. I have for 6 months or longer had this on my mind. It might be time to think about, I don't know if this is the right verbiage, but it might be wise to think about hiring someone on staff just to go out and monitor and talk to the taxpayers about reporting correctly. There's still some confusion as to, well, my bookings are through Airbnb, and of course I get one check from Airbnb, and with that, they do not provide whom sent them that money.
Well, then we need to tell Airbnb or whoever, they've got to break it down.
It's a statewide
Yeah.
problem.
So they just lump sum. But on the plus side, anyone in city limits that uses Airbnb is definitely paying taxes. They have no choices.
Well, these are just the people that we know that do it legally.
But if they're using Airbnb, they have no choice. Airbnb, like when I first set up my business, they were withholding taxes. It's like I had to prove I was outside the city limits. So if you're in city limits, and I've heard other people that are outside city limits, Airbnb still collects taxes from the guests, and that comes into here. So we are getting some money that probably we shouldn't, but now VRBO does not do that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So anyone who's only using VRBO or who's using Booking.com or whatever
So wait,
potentially could not be paying.
VRBO sends no checks for CAPC taxes?
They do, but it's very minimal. Very
Okay,
like.
well, I didn't know if they did or not.
Yeah, that's.
When I was with VRBO and Booking.com, back at the Bridgeford House, the state automatically made them take the tax out, and it had to be paid from Booking.com and Expedia.
It's a state law, so I didn't know for sure they did it. Okay.
Yeah, they did it. They wouldn't. It came in. They used to send it to us, and then when that law came in, we didn't receive it anymore. And yeah, they were making it had to come directly from Booking.com, and they just deducted it from our proceeds.
So,
I do know, I have talked with the tourism director in Hot Springs and 2 or 3 other large business or cities in Arkansas, and they have the same problem we are. And I was told that the only way that you can get that information is if you file a lawsuit against them. But then they will reveal that information for that
yes.
period of time that you're asking about. So, but it is a problem.
and there's a
and
company called, is it AirDNA?
I haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
that.
I want to say it's AirDNA, that we can hire that
Oh, yeah.
that tells you who everyone is that's in the market. I believe it, and there's other companies, but I'm pretty sure that's one.
Okay.
But to your point, let's go back to it.
Did I hear correct that this new law passes that they're not required to pay these taxes from
No.
VRBO?
No,
What did he say?
he said, did he hear correctly that if the new law passes, they're not required to pay the taxes? I haven't heard that at all.
Well, there have been so many amendments to it, we don't know what it's
No.
going to do.
So at this time, we don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to hear it this week in Little Rock and Howie down there. For one of those, that's one of the purposes I'll be down there. So we'll know more, just depending on the amendments that are thrown, because it seems like amendments are being thrown out in committee with no warning, so.
So on your S1, when you look at Airbnb, just to kind of talk, and I'm sure some of those B&Bs also are Airbnbs, right? No?
I list under lodging under Schedule S1, column 4, Airbnb. That is the actual check I get from Airbnb.
Okay.
I keep it separate so that you can see what they're paying and what
So,
I'm receiving from others.
$270,000 for January, that's just 1 month, their gross sales.
Correct.
And so, January's a pretty down month. That is a lot of units.
Yeah.
So, February was 437,000 gross. And that's our slowest 2 months. And so, you could extrapolate an average, what you think a unit might get, and then you could come up with a real rough figure of how many you think are out there, and then know if you're in the ballpark. Okay, any other questions on financials?
David, I'm making a note about your request on the B&Bs and the totals and things like
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the financials as presented by Scott Vanden.
Second.
I have a motion by Steve Holyfield to approve the financials as presented by Scott, seconded by David Alvazino. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the majority passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you.
Okay, Scott, you got a report over the last couple weeks? 3 weeks?
There we go. How much time do you give me?
Well, we have people waiting for funding requests and public
Okay.
funds and stuff.
Do you want to move it, change it around the agenda?
And we can.
I can email you these 5 pages of accomplishments since, 30 days.
How about the highlights?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm proud of this one. This
That
is a
is
good
the
one.
highlights.
This is a good one.
This is the highlights, 5 pages.
War and Peace.
This is my highlight.
Maybe we should move the agenda to do the funding requests and do yours a little bit later. Is that okay, Scott?
Sure.
Is that okay? Go ahead
It
and
would-
let the
the
funding
good people out
request
here
folks.
then can go.
go
and
first.
Get their approval or whatever.
We appreciate everyone's time. Who do we have first, Scott?
I think you should have the request in your packet.
Is this? It's 1, 2. We have 5?
I believe so.
That's what we got on the email. so.
Okay. And then there's another letter. Does that go with one of these?
That goes with the tour of homes, I think.
This-
Yeah,
So we
tour
want
of
to do that one
homes.
first, Terry Blanton? Is that?
This was brought into the office as you see this. There was no
There's no.
other
form?
material, but I wanted you to have this information.
Well, I think it would go with our 4th application.
Preservation Society? Is that correct?
That's tour of homes, right?
Tour of homes, there's 3
Yeah.
documents. I put the book, the application, and then a letter from.
You want to go ahead and do
Can't
that?
hear you, Steve. You want to step up the mic? Clarification.
Thank you very much for your time. In our application was the application for funding. Then I put a book in so you could see the booklet that we pass out during the tour of homes. And then we have a letter from Mr. Terry Blanton, who owns several businesses, and the impact it had on his businesses during the weekend of the tour of homes.
So the fourth application is Eureka Springs Preservation Society,
Eureka Springs Preservation Society,
and
correct.
the letter goes with that application.
Good, okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Go ahead and do it first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve's already standing up there, so.
Any questions? Or we're requesting funding for the Preservation Society for our expenses for the booklet, radio and TV ads for the promotion of the tour of homes.
So, okay, total.
And then on the application, it tells what we have previously done with the money and what we plan to do with the money for the upcoming tour of homes. The tour of homes, we book probably over 500 to 600 rooms for that weekend. Lots of reservations for the restaurants. So it's a big weekend. It impacts significantly.
It definitely draws a lot of people to town.
It sure does.
There's a little note on the back page of this that says $5,000 Main Street, Eureka Springs, to help fund a window workshop. Is that just something added that
They're
y'all
requesting
doing?
from what we raise
Oh, okay.
for us to fund certain projects.
Which is something that you all would do, it's not
That was something
additional
we would
money.
do
Okay.
out of the funds that we raise by having the tour of homes.
Right.
So, when is the event?
It is going to be, the new event is the
December
first
2nd?
weekend in December.
Okay,
It's always the first weekend in December.
cool.
Which is an off weekend, but draws a lot of people to town. So.
It's a tour of homes, so people can go in and see historic homes in town?
They're all decorated for Christmas.
Cool.
We had over 1,000 people come through the homes. We sold over 1,000 tickets last year.
Cool.
It's a big event.
Okay. And you want 5,000?
Correct, for expenses, for the booklet,
Okay.
the transit for the tour of homes, radio and TV advertising.
I don't think we can fund transit.
We pay the transit. We're just asking for a $5,000 funding request, and then we pay the transit out of our funds.
So we could reimburse on advertising, printing, radio, TV. I don't know about, why can't, no, they've come to us before.
We have gotten $5,000 in previous years.
So when Terry was on here, he even asked them if they wanted money from CAPC, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our booklets alone,
And they didn't want any.
our booklets alone that we print cost us $5,000.
5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So if one of the things on the list that they'll fund is something we wouldn't fund, but other things are,
Okay.
I think it's,
And that's one of the slowest weekends coming out at you, because you've got Thanksgiving is pretty busy, and then boom, that first weekend in December is the worst, in my opinion, worst weekend.
Well, the 2 years when the
For business.
COVID was present, we didn't have tour homes.
Okay.
And it was a big impact on the city. Mr. Terry Blanton could not believe what impact we had this past year in increase in rooms and hotel, and restaurant
We
reservations.
need every bit we can get, in my opinion, for that particular time.
you know, the
And
question-
you can see the booklet, it's very well put together.
How do those get distributed? Just for the people that come, or?
The people that come to the
Yeah.
event,
the museum usually has some
yeah.
other
And
places.
so basically, when they come to the event, each person that comes and buys a ticket gets one of these booklets. Then we have a few booklets always around town
And we can
available.
also boost that on our social media and stuff, obviously, for you guys. We want to,
Yeah.
regardless of what we do today.
Okay.
Any questions?
I move that we grant the request for money from the Eureka Springs Preservation Society.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah, hang on, I'm still reading.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry.
Are you still there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I put you guys on mute because I'm getting ready to check somebody in, so I'm going to mute you, but I can hear you.
Okay.
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 Okay, I'll second the motion.
Hi, I'm right here.
Okay.
Hi.
Well, hold on. We're going to have a pause.
Or, I'm sorry, that's you. That's you.
Am I still with that?
No, you guys are good. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay.
We can hear you. Okay,
I
so,
just didn't want you guys to hear this conversation. I'm listening, but I'm going to mute you.
okay, well, we got a motion. We've got a motion to fund
I'll
the,
be right with you guys. Hang on.
okay.
What? No, with you.
With us?
Right.
We can go ahead?
Okay, I'm going to check the guest in and then I'll be right back.
Okay. We are in the theater. We appreciate your patience.
Oh, we're fine. Thank you for the opportunity for us to,
While we're waiting, so this money comes out of where in the budget, Scott?
Be marketing support.
Marketing support. And we have,
That's where we only have 12,000?
12 minus 5.
Huh?
12 minus 5.
Yeah, if we pass this. So then that's 7. So if we entertain others, we're going to have a conversation about money. There's plenty of money, but at the moment, in
We
that
have to move it
budget,
around the
we'd
budget.
have to move.
So Scott, what's the amount for the year for marketing support?
What?
What amount do we have budgeted for the year in marketing support?
30.
30, and we've
30 total. and
allocated.
30 total, 18's been committed,
Yeah.
plus 5 here, so that gives us 7,000 left.
So I made the comment
If my
when we
math-
did the budget that it was way too little.
Yeah.
And then the comment was, I think it was before you got here, but maybe not, was that, oh, well, we can always allocate more.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Which I've seen before in other. So is this is one evening, on like Friday evening or Saturday?
it starts
One
in the
day?
afternoon on Friday and ends early evening. Excuse me, it starts on Saturday in the afternoon and ends on early evening on Saturday.
one day,
One day.
One
one
day.
afternoon, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we basically end it early probably about 5:30. That way people have time to go to dinner.
Yeah.
That helps the restaurants.
How many houses?
We had 7 this year,
7?
I think so.
And they try to put them in a certain part of town so you can walk around.
Okay.
and stuff. It's
So it
Chinley's
flows pretty well.
really well organized, and the houses are decorated for Christmas. That's why it's called a Christmas.
Brings in a lot of tourists.
I'm going to turn his mic off for a second.
Well, to save time, I like to go back up to agenda updates. I would like to permanently put on our agenda our vacancy that we have right now, and encourage anybody and everybody you know of to apply.
Yeah.
I've asked, and we don't really have any current, all the applications we have been there forever, so we probably need to start over. So if anybody wants to apply to CAPC, please put in your application. We have one vacancy right now. You never know what the future holds. We want to keep the commission full. We don't want to, and today's a good example. If we had another commissioner, it'd be a big help instead of having four of us and asking Mark to be on the phone, so. So anybody, I'm going to bring it up. I brought it up at our city council meeting last week, and we'll all keep bringing it up until we get enough people to apply. So if you know anybody that'd be interested in the CAPC commission, to apply as soon as possible.
Well said.
So Scott, if we would put that on our agenda, just kind of leave it on there as an ongoing thing to remind us that we need to fill this vacancy, please.
Do you still talk to Arthur Guthrow? Is that, I can't pronounce his name. Aren't you friends with him?
Who's that now?
The musician that, Arthur Guthrie? I can't remember right now. My mind's tired. He's been to town years past, and you were friends with him, and his picture's on the front wall out there. I just can't remember his name.
I'm trying to remember which
I
one
know.
it might be, you know? Friends with a lot of musicians because I help book the entertainment for the Grand in the New Orleans. So, yeah. No,
We're
say this
here.
too about the,
All right.
is he-
So
Turn his mic back on.
I turned it back
Oh.
on.
I can't hear.
Okay. You can't hear?
All right. I got one more to come, but we probably got time.
Okay. So we are on the funding request from the, why can't I read?
Eureka Springs Preservation Society.
Eureka Springs Preservation Society. And the funding request was for $5,000. We have a motion from Steve Holyfield to approve the funding request. And a second from, did I have a second? From David Alvizino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the majority carries. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
Congratulations.
for your patience.
Thank you.
Okay.
You didn't have to put them on hold until I got done, did you?
Are you good to do another one, Mark?
Okay.
Huh?
Here we go.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. Devin, you're the next contestant. This is Eureka Springs Chamber funding request.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for your time. Yeah, we're just after putting in a marketing funding request for $5,000. This is to pay for visitor guide shipping. Basically, last year we spent a little over $12,000 in shipping and postage on the Eureka Springs visitor guide. A big part of that, first of all, I just want to say that none of the guides go to people that do not request them. These are all requested pieces, and they're in all 14 welcome centers in Arkansas. The state just increased their number with us this year, and so instead of the 20,000 they asked for last year, they're requesting 30,000. And so the it can be looked at various ways. I mean, the freight itself is $5,377, and so that freight would be majority sending those to Little Rock, the guides to Little Rock, and what Little Rock does is they have a warehouse there that then disperses those guides to the welcome centers as they request them. They ended up taking just over 30,000 from us total. Last year we had to send them a second shipment, and so we're going to send them the increase that they asked for this year. Then some of the freight also goes to other chambers and other CVBs and AAA and places like that request the guides from us as well. And so we're just asking for a little bit of help getting this information to people who are requesting it, looking to come to Eureka Springs. You guys got any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer them.
We were at the, we were all at the tourism conference in El Dorado about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I met several people that manned the welcome centers, and they each were asking for printed material pertaining to Eureka. So my question is, does your organization have the ability to send directly to those welcome centers, or is it distributed from the state to them?
So if it such as El Dorado, if it's an official welcome center for the state of Arkansas, they request straight from Little Rock.
Okay.
Yeah. Now there are welcome centers that aren't state welcome centers that request directly from us that we ship to as well.
Okay.
I don't know if you just said it, but aren't we like the most requested guide they get?
We are, yeah. And I'm in contact with the state welcome centers regularly, especially around this time. And yeah, they confirm that we're still the most requested guide in Arkansas. I mean, Harrison Welcome Center just called about a week ago saying that they still had some 2022 left. They're just about out, and they're just really itching for the 2023, which are going to be here any day. The files at the printer, and so they're very anticipated guides, much sought after.
I've seen where the A&P does the visitor guide. So to me, it's a blessing you guys do it.
Sure. And it's a lot of work, and, I would also like to mention that we make sure that all the collectors are in the guide. So we have directories. We have a restaurant directory and we have a lodging directory. And in this directory, so if somebody doesn't purchase an ad or grid listing from the chamber, they're still represented in the guide in the directories.
So Devin, when these are shipped to Little Rock, I'm assuming you're talking about the State Department of Tourism that's at One Capitol Plaza or One Capitol Mall?
Actually, no, this place is off of Cantrell Road. It's a warehouse. It's a publication warehouse for the State Welcome Center solely.
So how big is this 30,000 pamphlets?
It'll be about 4 to 5 pallets, and we were able to get, so the state actually has a limit on the number of pallets they'll let you send, but they make a special exception for ours because they go through so many of them that they're going to go ahead and take the 4 pallets.
So it's something that has to be shipped via truck?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not against this, but I want to point out our bylaws, Article 7, use of tax revenue. Prohibited use of taxes. Such taxes should not be used for general subsidy of any civic groups or the Chamber of Commerce. So is that not applicable here?
But that's for their operations. So this is advertising. I don't think it does apply.
Okay.
Um,
I just wanted,
mean-
I don't know how that works, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to bring that up.
No, like, we can't fund their operations and stuff, but so we can partner together in a sense of like events and advertising
Okay.
events.
I just want to make sure we weren't violating our own
Yeah,
bylaws.
no. And there, I was going to suggest on the next workshop, I was going to go ahead and add this piece to discuss for budgeting purposes next year. I mean, they're doing some of our job, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay.
so,
Cool.
And I only asked the question about how many pallets it was, because I'm in Little Rock so much, I was wondering if I could just throw some in the back of my Subaru, but,
No, unfortunately not. No,
Okay.
it's a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a possibility, unfortunately.
okay.
Hey, Chris,
But
Yes,
we
sir.
appreciate the offer.
my guests are all checked in. Do you want me to head down? I can be there in just 5 minutes.
okay, I think we're about
We're fine.
to, it's up to you.
I think he's fine, as long as he stays on the phone and is present in the meeting.
If
Are
you're-
you guys good, or I can run down? They're all here.
I think you're fine on the phone.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions?
Do I have an opinion?
Do you have an
I
opinion? You
think
don't
it-
have a vote.
I think it's, I really think it's well spent to help the chamber. After visiting with many people that we came in contact that were, well, they were begging us for material. That's really, and it was a shame that they had to do that. And we all agree that we need to work together as a community to promote Eureka, where we legally can, of course. But this is a necessary step to bond us together. That's my opinion on it.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the $5,000 for Eureka Springs Chamber of Commerce to send these pamphlets to Little Rock.
Right? So you know where it's at. Okay.
Okay, I have a motion to approve Chamber of Commerce funding request for $5,000 by David Avanzino. I have a second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And majority passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Eureka Springs Arts Council? Is anyone here for the Arts Council? Okay. Let's go to someone who's here. Arkansas Tourism?
Now,
This is the one I have questions about. Why are they coming to us for money?
I received a call from Travis Napier, Tourism Director of the State of Arkansas.
Could you speak louder so Scott or
I'm sorry.
Mark can hear you again?
I'm sorry. Travis is asking if we would consider supporting a group of 25 to 30 people that are the people that man the welcome centers throughout the state, including many of the staff in his office, and they do annual tours in certain parts of our state, and the next tour is in Northwest Arkansas. So Tammy was asking how I could help her, and I said, well, I don't have the authority to just commit dollars. You need to submit a funding request to the commission so they can understand what we can and can't do, and they can advise me. So this is what this request is for. They're supposed to be in town, my memory says May the 13th. They'll be here at 3:30, spend the night.
It says the 3rd.
3rd, okay. And so they're
Friday night.
they're wanting to know if we could help them
No, it's
with expenses. They'll be here on a bus. Of course, that's
Wednesday.
paid for. But that's that's what this is about here.
So
And
it's a Wednesday night, middle of the week. They need what?
They're needing support with maybe meals, with some housing, though they're going to talk to local hotel ears and to try and get support and help there. But that's something we might talk to Travis about next week when he's here to get more info. But Tammy works for Travis.
This is not detailed enough for us to
Right.
even make a decision on. Personally, I don't think that we should be spending our local dollars for a state organization. I don't even think we can, to be honest with you. Especially for someone who has probably a $50 million budget as opposed to us having our budget.
I think it's so the chamber's walking out, but I think this is one of those one that you call the chamber and you say, hey, is there a group, business leaders that are willing to volunteer things? Because it may make business sense and stuff, but to your point, I don't know that that's our.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell what they're asking for, rooms.
Rooms and
Food.
food, it sounds like, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something we can't fund.
But I wanted to bring this to you because that's the contact info I'm getting, and I had her fill this out,
Okay.
and that's exactly the way I got it.
Okay.
So I wanted you to be aware of some things that I have to see.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, if we don't have a motion, then we'll.
I'm just going to make a motion to deny this request.
Okay. We have a motion to deny the request.
Second.
David Evanzino's made a motion to deny the request. Steve Holyfield has made the motion, or seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and majority carries. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Eureka Parks and Recreation? Right.
You guys mind if I hand these out to you?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll come get them. I'll pass them out.
Yeah.
Watch out. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Sam.
How's it going? Good to
Great.
meet you by face. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
we spoke the other day.
It was good talking to you.
I'm Sam Dudley. I'm the new director for Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation. I'm here to request $5,000 from CAPC for the production of 10,000 trail maps. We, as the Parks Department, spent $8,000 for design work through Progressive Trail Design, not to mention, countless hours of my time back when I was a trails coordinator to corresponding with PTD to get the maps right, correct. There's a lot of edits that needed to happen over and over again, descriptions, and that I don't have a calculated total of that cost, but it was a lot of hours of my time as well. So we think they look really good. We're excited about them. Unfortunately, I wish I had a sample of the Pocket Maps, which is the company we would like to use because of they have kind of a proprietary design on their maps that make them really easy to fold. They fit in your pocket, hence the name. And they're just really slick looking. PTD brought a couple, and this is 2 years ago, so I'm not sure what happened to them, but
Looks like it's about half the size of my phone, maybe?
what's that?
Is it about half the size of my phone?
Yeah,
maybe?
it's probably about the same width, maybe a little smaller on the height. Yeah, they're great. You know how pamphlets sometimes they're like, what do you do with it when you're not looking at it? It's kind of awkward to get in your pocket. These just go right in there. They're pretty much indestructible as well. Obviously, if you took a pair of scissors to it, you could probably cut it up, but as far as just normal wear and tear. We do have a lot of requests from people coming into our office as well as Lake Leatherwood City Park. at the visitor center and the bait shop asking for trail maps. Obviously, we do have maps in our kiosks, large, and people are welcome to take photos of those, but a lot of people just like the idea of having that map in their pocket for security. Just makes them feel better. Also, a lot of people don't like to take their phones when they go hiking. They like to be able to put the phone in the car and not have to think about cell phones for a few hours. Not to mention there are parts of Lake Leatherwood that you don't have cell signal, so it's hard to,
Right.
that's a safety concern if people aren't aware of where they are. But yeah, we're really happy with the way they look. Actually, just this last week, I didn't realize that we had this downtown Park Springs and Trails map. It didn't look as good as it does now. I had to rush with Michael to get this looking as slick as it does now, but he came through, and before this, it was just going to be a blowout of Eureka Springs with Leatherwood and Black Bass kind of like zoomed out. It was not very appealing. This is much more informative. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions.
When do they go to print?
We can basically go for it at any point. I just have to give Michael from PT the go-ahead.
So, so you want
Yeah.
more than 50%. So what are the odds? So what could we get our QR code, an ad on there for our website? Would be my question.
EurekaSprings.org, is that?
Visit Eureka Springs. Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't imagine it would take much at all.
So, I mean, we've got, these are folks that are here for, not all, but, yeah, they're here for lodging and/or restaurants.
Yeah, and these will
things
be
to do.
distributed mostly to hotels, and we would like to keep a portion of them, obviously, for our parks office and the Leatherwood offices, but these will be distributed to hotels, motels, whoever. Obviously, we'll have to come up with a system for how many per,
Yeah. Just seems to make sense if we had an ad, something that people could just click to go to our website.
Yeah,
It makes more sense to me.
I don't see why not. I mean, that's a super quick add-in for those guys. They're pros, so.
Yeah, I think actually, looking at this page, is this like the fold-out portion of the
Yeah,
map?
so I know, I wish I had a sample. It'd be a lot easier. So when you fold it out, the whole back that would be the whole back of the map would be
This is the whole back?
Yeah, and we wanted to make that real large because that way you get the detail of all the streets. And
Right.
Obviously, we didn't want to put all the street names on there because it gets a little bit muddled, but
Yeah.
the ones that kind of interact with
Yeah.
the trail system.
Because I'm just thinking that, number one, I think the Eureka Springs, Arkansas logo has to have the box around it. Is that correct, Scott? That's a trademark kind of thing?
And I know it's usually purple, and we could make that happen
The box
real
that's
quick.
around it.
I think it just has to have the box around it, and there are color variations
Okay.
that we can use.
Oh, yeah.
But my suggestion is to move the Parks logo either underneath Eureka Springs, Arkansas logo, and then put a QR code for more about whatever, Eureka Springs or QR code.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so have both logos over there on the left and then have
Right.
a,
'Cause I
information
think
and
Chris is
QR code
right,
on the right.
to have a logo with
Yeah.
our website, or a QR code with our website.
And we can also track
Yeah,
what we're getting out of it.
yeah.
Yeah, we are more than happy. I would love to just send you guys the digital copy of this so you can kind of look at it more. We can collaborate, and Scott and I can communicate more about small edits like that. That's easy enough.
Well, I really like the fact that you've listed spring locations. I've heard so many people in my lifetime ask me, well, where are the springs? And now I can say, well, look, right here, that's a big answer to some questions.
Yeah, and just also, these maps are great too. We will print out some, I don't know, do you guys go down to Lake Leatherwood often? You've seen the new kiosks with the maps that we
Oh, yeah,
have?
yeah.
So we'll put these downtown springs. We'll print the similar to that and get those installed, kind of specific points on the trail system. So just for extra reference, but
So did
people are
you-
going to want those handouts. They like the maps.
Did you design this, or did, I'm looking at this page here, lower right-hand corner,
Oh,
MTB trail something, I can't really read it, but,
So a lot of the trail information was pulled from Trailforks because you can pull the KMZ files. It's, just a layer on a Google map, basically, Google Earth map. So
and do we have to include them in the publication of this?
we don't have to. I like to include it just for extra reference, but we certainly don't have
Talking
to.
about the Trailblazers?
No, it's MTV project in
Oh.
Trailforks, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's,
Actually, I'm just trying to find more room for our QR code,
Yeah,
to be
okay.
honest with you.
For sure.
Because I'd rather divert people to our website than,
it looks like here they can, I bet they got room to squeeze stuff and.
We could
move
take the
things
Trailforks and the
like
mountain bike
this.
project off. It's,
David,
yeah.
I bet they can squeeze this and get that over there and then put us, I bet.
I'm just like a huge fan of mountain bike project because you can download it for free and you don't even have to have a username, and then it tells you exactly where you are on a specific trail. So, but we can take those off there. That's not a big deal. They did not pay for those to be on, if that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
so-
was one of my questions, yeah.
Okay. I'd rather
I
have
could
you
have,
guys
I could have
on there
asked
than-
that better, but yeah,
Yeah. I'd rather promote Eureka than
exactly.
Trailforks. Yeah.
Any questions?
Other questions?
No, I like it. I think it looks really good.
They're really, they're slick and modern. They're different from the previous ones, so some people might disagree with me, but I like them.
No questions?
Any more questions? Mark, you got any questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
I move we accept the request for funding from the Eureka Parks and Recreation.
I second that.
We have a motion from Steve Holyfield to approve the Parks and Recreation request for $5,000 for the trail maps, and a second by Mark Hicks. All in favor?
Motion for question real quick, or
Aye.
actually, I'd like to ask a question real quick. What does this put us at our budget if we approve this?
That will leave you $2,000 left.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Majority carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Also, I'd like to introduce Susan Luddy. She's our operations and public outreach employee at Parks, and she'll be the one going around town distributing them once we get them printed. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you and good luck with your new endeavor.
Yeah. Welcome. Eureka Springs, the last one, I think, is Eureka Springs Arts Council. And do they have anyone here for this one?
I'd like to make a motion to table this until someone can come up and give us a conversation.
Second.
I have a motion from David Avanzino to table Eureka Springs Arts Council funding request, and I have a second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I personally feel better if we had to move the money around the budget before we
Yeah, we're going to have to do that.
grant.
Do any more?
Yeah.
I don't like approving
I
stuff
agree.
that we don't have the money in the right place for it.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay. Where's my agenda? Try to get back. Oh, here it is. Okay. Did- Okay, so want to go back to Scott?
Sure.
Okay, Scott, in your voluminous report?
Director's report? Okay. I've got 6 pages, but I'm not going to go through all this. But I'd like for you to know, I'll send you copies of what all we've accomplished. It's quite lengthy, but we don't have time. But I would like to say this. This was very good to know that Eureka Springs was recognized by Southern Living as a resort in the Ozarks as one of the year's best southern towns. And we were listed as 50 best small towns in the South, ranked 17th out of 50 cities. I got a call from the Southern Living, and they asked me to make two comments, and I stated, it's a good thing to read about the town's accolades, but to understand while we're named one of the best small towns in the South, you would have to experience Eureka in person. We are a diverse city, and we do not judge people. I think that's one of our biggest assets we have. When you come here, you're going to be welcome. You're going to make friends, unlike anywhere else you've ever visited. I'm always proud when others recognize that we have what we have here in Eureka Springs. One area of focus for city leaders is historic preservation. I stated that the uniqueness of Eureka Springs comes from the city's focus on recognizing and celebrating the historic roots. Preserving our historic roots means a lot to our citizens. We still meet on the square on Friday and Saturdays. We have music in the park with bands. And if we're not doing that, we're going to have a parade. There's always something to do in Eureka, especially something that is unique. It's just a unique town. It's a blessing to live here. It is a wonderful experience for our visitors. People want to come here to relax and be a part of something outside of where we live. And that was my expression to the Southern Living. And when I finished talking to the individual, he was crying on the phone. He was, I want to come to Eureka. So I'm very proud of that, and our city leaders and our preservation and our people, and working together with groups that need help and forming a community where we can better everybody in our community and include everybody in our community with helping them be successful, because we are a tourist town, and without tourism, we're going to all suffer, and we take that serious because our job is to bring people here over and over and over, and if we do that, we've done our job. And that's our mission right there.
Great.
So that's I wanted to share that with you. That's very important, and I was very proud of that. And believe it or not, tourism director called me and had read that article, and he said, what can I do to help you guys in Eureka be successful? And I said, I'll talk to you when I see you next week.
And that was the state tourism director?
Yeah. So we're on the map. People understand we're on a mission, and they're wanting to watch us and see how we accomplish this, because we have so many great assets in this town. It's a dream to live here because we never run out of what we can promote about our town to bring tourism here. It's endless. It really is. So we're very fortunate to have that unique problem. We have Amy Grant coming on April 1. We have Melissa Etheridge coming. We have several acts related to the blues. Last week, and this has never been done, last week I reached out to 3 local radio stations to promote the auditorium events and events at the park. The ticket sales for less than a week jumped over 150 ticket sales for these events. And it proved to me that what little money it costs to promote locally with local content made a difference. And that proved to us we're on the right track for local content, working on Facebook, with our new website, and with Paradise. With those 3 combinations, we're going to be successful this year because of that right there. I believe that. So there's so much to go over, but I did give you a listing of what is going on that I've worked hard to accomplish with music in the park, parades, things that you need to know about. And I'll give this to the mayor also, but we've got quite a bit of talent coming, and so we will start promoting that on our Facebook page, also on using in conjunction with Paradise Advertising. So when people click on, they're going to get excited to see wow, I'm coming to Eureka because I want to be a part of this. So this is probably one of the better lineups I've seen since I've lived here. So we've got a lot going on to attract tourism. There's just so much to talk about that anybody wants to jump in, go right ahead. I know that,
How's your new office coordinator?
great,
Great? Good?
excellent. It's more like having an executive assistant, and we get so much done in such a short period of time. I know yesterday we looked up and it was 6:30 and we didn't even know what time it was. So those are good days.
Office hours are 8 to 5.
I know, but
9 to
when you
5.
get in the moment, you can't quit. But I do need the commission to consider a position that is needed, and I will call it a marketing support specialist. This position is going to work with local content, posting on Facebook, being current with our events, posting the events here, working directly with Paradise to make sure that the information coming from our stakeholders and collectors is getting posted correctly. So in the future, I think that we will be responsible, our commission, for posting local content that's going to be fed and connected to the Paradise website. So I think it's important that we start having this position to start collecting local content and building libraries with that information. Once we get additional help in that area, we will be very efficient in communicating with all our stakeholders.
I think you'll need more help than that, but yeah.
But
That's a good start.
You'll see a positive difference. I did this and pretty much by myself, but with the help of Danielle having been here 1 week, it was as if we went into hyper mode with putting out content.
Yeah.
And if you have one more person that can assist and we're all cross-training between us, it will be money well spent. The position will benefit everyone that comes in contact with social media. Citizens will know what's going on, and the local merchants are going to be happy because we're going to be communicating with them and asking for input. It's just a lot that can be accomplished.
I don't
with
want to
one
be
more
rude
person.
and cut you off.
I'm sorry, but
You're very eloquent. My understanding is you have someone that, for that position?
I do. I do. I have the right person for this position.
Has this been posted then?
I'm sorry, what?
Has this been posted?
So we have the marketing manager position that's been posted.
Okay.
And then this person is not, my understanding is not that.
Not that
It's not the
level.
manager
No.
caliber,
But as we move forward with that
more of a work
upper level
support.
upper level position you're talking about, it is going to be a two-person job to keep up with
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's your
But you
support
need-
coming in.
So you're asking for that position.
I really would like
And
that.
I put that on the agenda for us.
Should this position be posted though for a while or? I think,
We can hire. And
what other positions are posted right now?
You've got the tourism director position,
odd
And-
director,
director,
marketing manager,
marketing manager.
and office coordinator's been filled.
Correct.
And you're getting
So-
applications for those?
All applications are directed to City Hall, to Jerry King and HR.
So Scott came to me, said, I have a person not qualified for that, but could be a support person. That's what this is. We'd have to create that position to hire someone.
I think this needs to be a workshop, because
Okay.
after reading this description, the duties, the salary range is, we're not going to get anyone with that.
Well, he's got a candidate that he's made an offer to, if it was approved by this CAPC. Now, this is not the managerial.
No, I understand,
No,
but
it's not.
I would still like to see something on who this person is, what qualifications they have, what experience they have, so forth and so on, before,
I
So
understand.
just for clarification though, Scott hires this staff. Only thing we hire is the director. And the committee hires the director, so. But should he bring everybody to us for final approval? Is that what we want?
I think just to review. I don't know what our contract is with the city. Scott, you may be able to answer this, but, references, background checks, so forth, so on. Qualifications, did they actually work in these jobs that they said they did? That kind of thing.
So so we've gotten applications. I've been going out and back when we initially had all the resignations and stuff, I started calling other A&Ps, my business contacts from previous life in Northwest Arkansas, and looking for referrals. And this person was referred, and she turned down the office coordinator position. She has worked, I believe she has a marketing degree. I don't remember.
Yes, she
that.
does. She does have
Okay.
that. She's got her own business.
So, someone that I do trust, they have two businesses. She had worked for them over in Northwest Arkansas doing specifically more online ads and social media marketing. And he said, hey, this person's moving over to y'all's area. So she had interviewed for the office coordinator position, turned it down. She went to marketing role. And it's like, well, what the commission had talked about with the level of marketing manager we wanted, I mean, she's younger, that's not where that person was. So Scott needs help. He needs staff. And, so this is one solution is, but we'd have to create a position.
So this is an extra position, Scott, that you're asking for? Okay. And have we done the studies of what we can pull out of Paradise budget to support this position?
That is
The salary
going-
for this position?
That is going to be the result of where we're headed to.
So, well, yeah, that would be discussions for the commission to decide for next year or whatever phase, But, I mean, that could be a piece of that puzzle. Now, one thing I asked Paradise was because there's also some of that travel money they'd asked about that they have, that they're just, that we paid for, they didn't use. Could they send someone to train the current office coordinator or if we got someone in a support role, so we can get those people up to speed even quicker, working with Paradise and our stakeholders and trying to get all the website and all the social media stuff much cleaner and on down the road.
See, what's going to happen is no fault of anyone's, but the contract states that when Paradise does any website work, it's billed at $175 an hour.
Right.
And I know that I can reduce that part of what was approved in the budget. Also improve the coordination between the business owners that are going to want to have, we probably have nearly right at 400 different business owners inclusive that are going to need to have their content posted on the new website. And after thinking about the time involved at $175 an hour, there's no doubt in my mind that we can save a lot of money, plus be prepared for finding the right person to come in and take the level above this, and then we can help work and train and catch up to speed the new person. So we're like off and running even quicker. So, but right now, Danielle and I cannot keep up with just these events I've listed here. There's probably 25, and I'm going to be adding more. It's just necessary. It really is. It really
This
is.
a life preserver.
I'm sorry, what,
It's
Steve?
like a life preserver throwing them.
Oh, no.
to help.
I understand the
I
premise
do-
behind this.
I don't feel real comfortable not having it posted as normal, but understanding the unusual circumstances we're in right now.
I think we need to check with Jerry
Check with Jerry.
to make sure that
My
we can.
clarification, all CAPC employees are city employees, right,
Yes.
Scott?
Well,
Yeah.
so
Do they
Never
get
had-
city-
I've never had that
city
question asked.
benefits?
Yes.
Okay.
we have the authority to create our own staff, to hire our own staff, and we can hire immediately. There is no, now, and so this person did apply for a role that was posted. And so, but, I mean, you got to look at the reality too of, we want a really high-level marketing manager. Do you know what those people cost?
I do know what they cost.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
so-
why I'm
So,
consistently saying we need to bring someone in these positions that know what they're doing, have the experience, have the qualifications, pay them what they are worth,
yeah,
because I do not want to end up in another situation where the staff decides to leave almost all at once.
yeah.
And quite honestly, I didn't feel that the staff that was in place was qualified to do what they were
Yeah.
hired to do.
I do think we're in a,
Crisis mode.
I don't want it to be a crisis or an emergency.
And I guess what I'm asking
but I
is,
think
let's
we need
do
a
it
bare
right.
bones.
Let's get it right, and not 6
Yeah.
months down the road.
Yeah, I don't want to do
Totally
this.
agree, but,
If
You're-
Jerry approves it with HR, I'm fine with it, but I want to make sure we're crossing our Ts and dotting our
Yeah.
Is, because we don't want to hire this person and then go, oh no, we couldn't hire you. Let's back the whole system back up. As long as he's okay, he says we're doing what we need to do legally, then I'm fine with it. So. But we definitely need to get people in here and get going as soon as possible. I'm not disagreeing with that or if this person's qualified. I just want to make sure we're doing it properly.
yeah. So,
So what do we need right now?
Is there any, I don't want to have someone come in and work and something happened and they decided they couldn't work here because of something that happened down the road. So my point is that we're going to probably go another couple of weeks before I get somebody in there. So
well,
it's going to be hard.
we're 30 days, it'd be another 30 days. That's part of the problem of the nature of a board and stuff. So then we lose a month. We can't have special meetings every week.
Right, so has the hiring committee seen who this person is?
No, this is,
The hiring committee only hires the executive
She-
director.
She just said, hey, I'm more qualified than answering phones or whatever. And I'm not denigrating that position at all because
Right.
obviously the person doing it's doing a fantastic job. But she wants, that's her job, her background's marketing and her career. And so,
The hiring director, Dave, is only hiring the director.
Right.
yeah.
Scott has the authority to hire
Hire his staff.
everybody else, so.
I mean,
So,
I
as long as it's
I
clear
look
through
at it as
HR,
a
then-
support person. It's not a manager level. It's like, someone to work.
So do we need to vote on creating this position? So is that what we need to do today?
Yeah, I mean, that would be one thing we could do. That's what I put on the deal, on the agenda.
So Scott, does this person that you have in mind, do they realize this is not a 9-to-5 job?
When you say 9 to 5, I mean, I was told.
Do they
to work 9
realize that they're not going to clock in at 9 and leave at 5 and then they're done? Because part of this is social media, brand identity, special events.
My answer to that question is, just as I said earlier, we looked up and it was 6:30 or 7 o'clock last night. So the people that I want working for me are going to have the vision I have. They're going to have to understand that we're going to work, we're going to enjoy our job also, but I don't want somebody that's going to clock watch and punch out at 4:59. That's not the person I'm looking for.
No, I think what I'm asking is, does the person that you have in mind for this position realize that they're going to have to, because our parades are at night. We have events go on at night. We have events go on at weekends. And
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's part of the process of building historical content for the future. So the answer is yes, they do know that.
Yeah, that's part of your
That's
job.
part
to
of our job.
manage their schedule. To your point, should be like upfront and understanding that you got to be flexible because the nature of,
yeah, because
of the town.
in this job description, it says social media manages development, maintenance, and oversight of social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Those people need to be on top of things. And it could be 11 o'clock at night where something, comes across as incorrect
I agree with what you just
and
said.
needs to be fixed immediately.
We have things happening after 5 o'clock here, and that needs to be part of our coverage.
They have
We-
to have a quality of life.
That's the quality of our
I'm
life
always going
here.
to be a
Yes,
proponent.
I agree.
for that.
I'm not debating that part.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though.
I just want them to realize what they're getting into.
I don't want to work for David. This guy, that's why he's so good at what he does.
Yes, sir, they know that.
So the
Okay.
job description is based, so when we met with Jerry before, and he said we didn't have job descriptions, so I came up with rough drafts, gave them to Jerry. He tweaked a little bit. We got them posted and everything. This was based off of that manager, same job description, except changed to support, assists, and tweaked it to where it's a support position instead of a manager. That was my thought.
And you said this person does have a degree in marketing. Is that what you said?
This person does not have a degree in marketing. They've got extensive experience with website, collection of data, just launching websites. That's their expertise.
And
Business owner.
And then social media and online marketing for a specific group. And
This would be a very good person to have on staff that can work with our local photographers and also with, one thing, we had a meeting with Paradise today, and they are really excited about us providing them with content. And that was the first. So this
Providing
is,
what?
content. This fits right in with where I want to have them to have access to, is what makes Eureka the place to come to visit. I mean, the St. Patrick's Day. I mean, we're going to have authentic pictures, not something that was pulled out of San Francisco as come to Eureka. This person here would be very good at working with photographers and capturing those images ourselves. Just the experience is vast on this one. I'm just asking you to
I'm trying to
trust.
wrap my head around a person that has extensive knowledge in launching websites, but has no experience in marketing.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, well, that's not what you read to me.
This is the person that I was referred to that worked, so the referral came from a friend, had a long relationship with, that was a marketing director for utility companies. He and his wife have multiple businesses. She has been working for them. And that's where the referral came from. And she was doing their online advertising and social media marketing for their businesses.
Okay. Is that what's on her resume, Scott?
It's like someone made the comment, well, Scott, he doesn't have a marketing degree and he's not been in advertising. Well, That is not exactly true. I'm a business person, and this is a business. And you have vendors you deal with, and if you bring people in here for tourism director and they're all their experiences in advertising and working with advertising agencies, they're going to cover about 25% of what is great, but the 75% is what's been lacking. And over time, we've lost tourism directors over that fact. They stay here a year and a half and they're gone. But what you need is a business person that can analyze the situation, get the right people on board that he believes will help push us to the next level. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Sometimes the best people, I know, for example, my dad, he didn't have a high school education, but when he passed away, he had millions of dollars because he knew how to deal with people and open businesses. So this is the person here that fits that role, that wants to be a team player, that I had rather have, that's proven themselves. They had to prove themselves from scratch, and that's the type of people we need on this team, rather than someone that's been in Miami for 20 years or less than a year and has really not accomplished anything other than the giant advertising firm pumping them full of information to relay to us. And now that's the way I see things here. So from a business perspective, I would hire her in a minute if it was me. If I own this business, that's who we want, because you're expecting me to take you to the next level, and I've done this on my own with what limited time I have, and I ask you to trust me in this decision, and you'll be okay. I promise you.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I am not
I know. I
not
don't.
trusting you in your
You
decision.
and I are friends, so I know that.
I just want to make sure that, and I agree with you, I don't think degrees mean a lot these days, but experience does.
Correct.
So
And she's got
that's-
that, and
okay.
and I've talked to her 3 or 4 times, because I don't like to recommend someone that I know when I ask you to support this decision, I'm putting my reputation and myself on the line, and you don't get redos on that. So if I tell you that, I'd ask you to trust me, and then later on you can come back and say, Scott, you was right. But that's the situation we're in now, and we don't have much time because we're into spring and we're going to be in fall pretty quickly, and that's what we need to be thinking about, fall and summertime. Fall and wintertime, and we're really into 2024. So time is of the essence, but I will do what you ask me to do. I will do that. But this is an alternative to keep us ahead where we've been behind for 2 or 3, 4 months. That's where I see
Okay,
it.
so question back to regarding bylaws. From what I hear you saying, we can agree to this position and hire today without the assistance of the city's HR department.
I think he will help us as far as like if the job description needs to be tweaked further, which can be handled again, just like any of the other ones can. But I mean, we're the hiring authority and we manage our staff. He processes our paperwork, and I'm not trying to belittle him. That should set up.
Okay. So are we waiting for a motion, or what are we doing?
Are we done talking?
Say again?
Are we done
Are
talking?
you there, Mark?
Mark, you there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the job title Marketing Support Specialist as listed here, and
I
that we
second
fill it,
that.
and we fill it as soon as possible.
So are we approving Scott to hire her? Because he's.
Yes.
Okay,
That's already a given.
okay,
He's supposed to hire his staff, so.
okay.
Yes,
Did you second it?
I did.
Oh, okay. So we have a motion to create the marketing support specialist role and approve hiring by Scott. I have the motions by Steve Holyfield, a second by Mark Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Majority carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We also have to factor in here training time. This person needs
Yeah, I
to
know.
get here. And
I just don't want us to be in the position we
So-
were in before. That's all I'm asking.
yeah.
So that's another, that's the next point, is so Paradise will come train the staff. They'll send a account rep to work with them, so it might be a good idea, so they know, because there's been so much miscommunication, they know exactly how to get stuff back and forth. Might help for them to be here in person, I don't know. That, they asked for us how to spend that money. That's why I put this Paradise Training Travel on there.
Okay.
So we're at number 7 now?
Well, we're on C, under new business.
Okay, gotcha.
But we can, if we need to add something, we can.
So is Paradise sending us back the money for the travel funds they did not use last year?
I don't believe so.
I'm sorry.
It
what?
didn't sound like it when they told us that.
Well, no, according to the Zoom meeting, he said he would write
Oh,
a
he
check
said
and
he
send it
would?
to us.
He said he would, or he just credited us that amount
Okay,
this year.
so that's how
Well,
our.
we didn't lose it. We didn't lose the money. Just either they would write us a check or they would just credit it and spend it this calendar year.
So that's
So-
probably what we need to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, do we need the check written to us, or, I mean, my thought is they didn't use it last year, they're not going to use it this year. If they do, they just want to fluff something, which I'm not okay with.
From an accounting standpoint, they should issue us a check,
I agree.
and then it's a clear-cut end of the transaction, and then we start with proceeding from that. That's what I think.
Okay,
There's a good audit trail with that.
So he just needs to request,
yeah,
just request.
I'll
that doesn't require a
So-
vote, I don't think.
Zoom, so we'll just, surely they can do Zoom training.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, let's do it that way. All right. Selfie stations, so talk to Sandy a little bit. I walked in on this, but she, the second page in here, they've got some ideas they've just thrown out. This is really more idea focused unless someone wants to make a movement on it tonight. But they've done the picture frame before. So that's my note, the 7,000 to 8,000 is for a permanent one. Yeah.
what are you looking at?
Second page of the Arts Festival. Yeah. So that's one idea they've done before. It was real popular. So that's kind of a bigger ticket one. The Humpty is a bigger ticket.
We don't even have that anymore.
Huh? No, having another one commissioned.
Okay.
These are just ideas. Now, the hat thing's pretty cool. So around town in specific locations, there would be basically like a hat in a very specific spot where you stood under with, strategically for a picture with whatever in the background. That's probably not going to be that expensive. They're working on that idea. Something for us to consider later. The treeple, I thought that was really cool. It's like 100 trees all throughout town. Kind of partnering with business owners, property owners to do it. That cost is probably going to be somewhere between $2,500 to $4,000. But a fun adventure piece for people to do social media. So the only thing they would be probably able to start on right away would be the treeple thing.
Hey, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but this triple thing, would that would have to be approved by city council,
Wow.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. So
think it would, because unless it's on someone's personal property,
It is on their property.
there are still ordinances in place.
It's not on public property, it's personal.
Personal property is my understanding.
They can do whatever they want on personal property.
So they partner with with those people. They get a voucher, the residents do, to outfit their tree. So it's
This
pretty
is under a
creative.
temporary art installation, I'm
Mhm.
sure. So
So-
it wouldn't even have to go to HCC, I don't think.
Yeah, and the thought was like for a season, and then the next season revisit and redo new.
I just hope
So-
they have someone that takes it down.
Yeah. So the 2,500 was like probably what it's going to cost to put it up. And I said, well, what about to maintain it to get through the season? And she said, it might be like 4,000. So
So you're not asking for money from us right
I'm
now?
not, I mean, unless, I just wanted to point this out, that they got some good ideas. And these are things that can help us get quite a bit of marketing miles out of, for pretty cheap.
I agree, great ideas.
Okay.
Okay. And we can revisit, as they get more information, Scott can share that with us, obviously. Meeting time. There's been some consternation about our time that we're meeting. And so I put that on there if there's a will to change that.
Yes, there is. And not just for me, but for, the public that wants to attend these meetings. I know that they're visible on YouTube live. However, a lot of people like to be here.
Okay.
And at 3 o'clock, I had to park down the street. There was no parking. And I'd like to meet you in the middle, because I know it was, what was it, 7?
It was 6 for the
Meeting.
workshop. No, for the meeting?
5 for the workshop, 6 for the meeting.
5 for the workshop, 6 for the meeting.
Yeah. And I would just say, I'd like to meet in the middle somewhere, say 5 p.m. for regular meetings, 4 o'clock for workshops, because not a lot of people attend the workshops. And I just think it's the fairest and most equitable thing for our stakeholders and everybody else that wants to be here.
Mark, what are your thoughts?
6 just seemed to work out better for me. But going forward, I mean,
Oops.
We lost Mark. Steve, do you have an opinion
I
or
don't-
discussion?
doesn't matter.
So,
Mark, you there?
That would be a Chris call.
what is it?
He wanted to speak to the issue of
Well,
time.
that's, no offense, we can work it out.
Move public comments from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting. So I sat here for 2 hours, comment on the meeting times.
Okay. We're trying our best here. I don't have a problem with what we used to do, if that makes Mark happy. And I don't want it to be just me that,
Yeah,
so
okay.
if we got to go back to what we were doing, I'm fine with that.
Are you trying to get him back on
From
the phone?
my point of view. And he's fine, and Mark said 6 works best for him, so he's trying to get Mark back in here.
He must still be talking. Doesn't realize he's
I'm trying to get through this real quick, and then we can do the,
So we need a motion, of course, we need Mark back.
we need Mark.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on.
That's all right.
You're back on speaker, and we're talking about the times.
Yeah, 6 o'clock just seemed to work better
Okay.
here.
So are you okay with the original way it was running?
At 6?
5 for the workshop, 6 for the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and in the event, going forward in the event, with me here running this by myself, I do need to do something like this, and I appreciate you guys doing this. I can't get set up on my my laptop for Zoom, but that did seem to work out better at 6,
Just
yes.
want to do what's best for everyone.
Okay.
So,
I'll go ahead and make the motion to move regular CAPC meetings back to 6 PM, workshops to 5 PM.
Second.
Okay, a motion by David Avanzino to revert meetings back to 6 PM and workshops at 5 PM.
Starting immediately.
Starting immediately. and
With the
have
next meeting or
next
workshop, whatever
meeting.
comes first.
And we have a second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and motion carries with the majority. So we have bylaws. We talked about this last, one of the times we met. Made sure everyone got them, wanted everyone to review them. We were told these were created by the previous commission, but they were never published, they were never signed, so my thing was, well, I think we need to sign them and publish them. And they're still fairly, they're not real specific. There is a process for amendments. I have 3 amendments that I attached to here. That process is for the amendment to be reviewed at this meeting. You would review, and then next meeting, we would vote on those amendments. So I think the business would be to approve the bylaws so we can get them published, or not, or whatever.
I'd like to make a motion to table this so I can actually read it in depth, because I just got it today.
Second.
I thought we sent them, okay.
Can we talk about it in the workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it more in the workshop.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Do we need to go the motion in the second? I have a motion to table the bylaws to be discussed at the workshop. Motion by David Avanzino, second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, good. Music services payment approval. I believe this is in reference to Ron and some services that have been rendered. I asked this contract be attached so we could understand what we're talking about. And Scott, we need your guidance.
About today?
No, just about,
This.
is there an invoice to pay and how that relates to the contract? And we need approval? Is that what's going on?
In order for the city to have music in the park, that process should have started months ago. But when I came on board 45 days ago, that process had not started because there was no direction as to where we're going to do it, et cetera. So I went to Ron Sumner. Ron and I talked and agreed to work to produce music in the park and collaborate with the performers to get the acts in with a diverse schedule of performers. And that's what you see in front of you. That's the work's been done. It's not finished. Now, Mr. Ron's contract states that he is to support CAPC-sponsored events. Support meaning provide technical sound services for those events. It does not state that he should be the person to have to be required to go out and seek performers, work with promoting the event. And I knew that. And at the time, I had to have some help to make this work. So Ron and I talked, and Ron was willing to provide this service, and we set the boundaries as to when we were going to start when it was going to end, which was probably going to run through the very end of August, maybe into September. And we've met several weeks over this, ironing out the details. It was brought to my attention today that Ron has provided this service to us in the past at no charge, and that we should not be paying him for this work done outside his contract. And so I disagree with that, because we pay other people contract to perform services such as with Folk Fest. There's others, but that's the one that comes to my mind.
Okay.
So I need you as a commission to approve or discuss us compensating Mr. Ron for the extra work he's done in order to make Music in the Park successful this year, or we wouldn't have one.
Okay, so
That's
I
true.
think it's appropriate to bring it to the commission to decide this issue for sure. And so he's invoiced you for additional service, if I understood correctly, additional services other than what the contracts state?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about everything. It was brought to my attention and to Ron's attention that the CAPC was going to be absorbing the cost for the 4th of July music on the Sunday at Lake Leatherwood. And I did not budget for that. I did not know anything about that. Neither did Ron. But we were told that the former director had promised that they would take care of it.
Okay.
And so, hearing that, I feel like we need to go and uphold our word, but it's going to cost us about $8,000 to $10,000 to cover what was promised to them. And they have no stage set up. They have nothing out there to promote the concert that they're wanting to promote. So they had talked to Ron about providing stage equipment of his own equipment, everything that would have to be brought there in order just to have bands out there. And I didn't think it was fair that he not be compensated for that service.
So
It's not.
What's the invoice for?
He's only asking for $1,500 to take care of all of that, and that includes him having to probably hire some additional help. But in order to produce this fireworks day-long extravaganza, it was brought to my attention that CAPC is going to be responsible for funding a large portion of that.
This seems like a really big conversation. And what I would like to do is because that's going to be a big conversation. We have two more things on this agenda. I'd like to go ahead and move public comments up, and then let's cover this music after
Okay.
public
Sure.
comments. Is that okay
Yeah,
with
no,
everyone?
that's fine.
Okay.
I thought it'd be quicker. Public comments? Sorry.
Just make sure the blue light is on the microphone.
It is.
Also, someone needs a time, 3 minutes.
Yeah, it is. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Do you need me to state my name and address this time?
We don't need your address.
Okay.
No, not you.
So, hi, everybody. My name's Heather. In the spirit of transparency, I have respectfully applied for the director role. You've all thrown me for a little loop today with what's gone on. But I'd like to read this letter to you, and I will read to keep on time, and bear with me through it. It all started in San Diego. When I walked home from the farmer's market and spotted a sailor standing outside, or I had something to pick up for a friend's surprise party that evening. What was a simple meeting turned into me doing something I never thought I'd do, and that's becoming involved with a man with children. 10 years ago, next month, I first came to Eureka Springs during a visit to meet my now stepdaughters for the first time. I recall my husband telling me how much I loved the bluffs and the Victorian houses built into them, but most of all, he thought the people here would be my vibe, and he was very right. After numerous visits to Northwest Arkansas and tears every time that we had to part from his girls, I did another thing I never thought I'd do: suggest moving to the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, from downtown San Diego when my husband finished his military career. And so in 2015, we left San Diego to another area of NWA, not Eureka. To say that the adjustment was difficult on me would be an understatement. But there was this little place hidden in the hills with a haunted hotel up on the mountain that I went to refill my cup. True story. And I wished we could move there. And then when my husband's ex-wife moved to the neighboring town, I got my wish. I called the listing realtor the day our home went on the market, making an appointment for 3 p.m. the next day. At noon, the phone rang. A contract came in overnight and a backup offer, both cash. We were just a VA loan. So anyway, third time's the charm. We agreed to take a look anyway. When Eureka Springs wants you, Eureka Springs bring you here. So we drove up to the house on County Road 1021 the day that we also met. And we fell in love with the house of another Navy veteran who met and married his wife in San Diego, just like my husband and me. In fact, his wife was born in the very hospital where my husband finished his naval career. So suffice it to say, it all worked out. So in November 2020, we closed on our house up on the hill in Hillspeak, and we moved in Christmas Eve. In our home, I continued to lead a very lucrative community and marketing and brand strategy career. Plot twist, December 2022, I walked away from that career to find something much more meaningful, and I think that I could find that here. Excuse me. So while I can tell you about all the awards that I've won, how I've built startups from Series A to acquisition, and I've led a global conglomerate, overseeing multi-million-dollar marketing programs around the globe, you have my resume already, and you can read it. What matters most is in that time, I learned the power of creating experiences where people feel they belong and telling people stories in a way that elevates business goals. From our business owners to our service workers, our kids and our teachers, there are 2,000 of those stories right here waiting to be told. And I hope that I'll have the opportunity to work together with all of you to tell those stories and show the world that they and their dollars belong in Eureka Springs. I thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Heather, what's your last name?
My last name is Wilson.
Wilson.
With one L.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bo Satori at 2 Fairmount. The point of having public comments at the beginning of the meeting is to give the public an opportunity to give you information pertaining to what's on your agenda, so you have things to consider that you might not have considered before. Moving public comments to the end of the meeting makes public comments rather pointless. In regard to meeting times, which is what I came to address, Chairman Clifton suggested, and you all agreed, to have meetings at 3 o'clock because of his personal convenience. But that was an inconvenience to everyone else in the city, because most people get off work at 5 o'clock and then they have an opportunity to come to a meeting or to watch the meeting or to have input. I was quite taken with Mr. Hicks phoning it in, because I imagined, next month, it's going to be 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock's a check-in time for most lodging businesses. So you're going to phone it in every week? I would hope not. So it's a good thing that you changed it, but also you didn't take into consideration that at 3 o'clock you can't find a place to park. The lots are full. And if you find a place to park, then you have to pay to go to the meeting. And most locals are not going to do it. So essentially, Chairman Clifton's action to persuade you to have meetings at 3 o'clock was an effort to just push the city awareness out, along with his suggestion to not record the meetings, not stream the meetings, and everything else he did to hide his performance from the community. I want to, besides that, which thank you for changing it, but Councilman Holyfield and Councilman Avancino, I want to thank you for holding the line to some degree on your business practices. It's good to have good business practices, but this is government. And government is defined by state law and by city municipal code. So when you're hiring people, there's a sequence of things to go through, like creating a job description and then publishing that job description and then doing requests for resumes and then having adequate time to take in your resumes. And that way you can get the best people and not be sitting here being pressured by our director and our chairperson to hire somebody they've already picked out, because that's how we got Lacey Eckberg 3 years ago, and some of these other people, because somebody wanted them to have the job on the commission, and that's not the way we do business here. And so I appreciate you holding the line and creating a method by which we hire people and get the best people here. And there's a lot of other issues. The A&P sponsored 4th of July for 10 years in a row. We had live bands, we had fireworks, we'd have 1,200 people attending. But does anybody know that, how we did it? Where's your records? Where's your procedures? We created how to be an A&P and had binders on all of that. Have you looked back on commission meetings and minutes? This commission's been existent for 50 years. There's lots of minutes about how to do things, instead of everybody sitting here wondering how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bo.
We'll go back to music services.
Yeah.
So I believe the issue is whether or not to pay an invoice for extra services of the $1,500.
Do we have the money? Basic question.
All right.
So looking at this, this is what you're referring to, is that right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
That is the contract.
Okay. So there is no, okay, there is an expiration on here.
There is an expiration
Yeah, it's page 2, paragraph 5.
this year, yep. In December.
Yeah. And so what I'm understanding is that Ron has not been paid?
He's not been paid.
Is he providing-
He's been paid under his contract, but these services are outside his contract, and I'm asking that he be compensated for that.
These services meaning this meeting, or our meetings and workshops?
Well, no, it would be for what the project I assigned him to reach out and work with me on gathering performances and booking bands and scheduling dates, to have the Music in the Park series that we're talking about now.
Above and beyond the existing contract for,
I'm sorry, what?
above and beyond the existing contract for this and all the other things they do.
So I think we're going to need, because none of that is listed here, and I think what we'll need is a rider for services outside of this scope,
Okay.
at an hourly rate or whatever.
Probably needs to reference the original contract at least some way, right?
Yeah, because we can reference this original contract with a rider that says, you know,
In addition, we pay him for this
Right.
amount of money for,
because I don't see
Goodness,
anywhere in here
additional
where that
services.
is listed. And sorry, I'm stuttering because I'm freezing to death up here.
also, I feel uncomfortable we're being held to a promise from a previous director that's not here anymore.
I get it, but unfortunately, we're stuck with it.
But I wonder, is there some way that we can put a notice in the paper saying, if anybody promised you something, don't count on it. No, but, because now we're looking at a whole new ballgame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, why are we being held accountable unless it's in writing in a contract or something like that? this, anybody could walk up and say, oh, so-and-so promised they'd pay for all this. And it's like, how do we know that?
Yeah.
How do we know any of that was promised, Not that I'm saying they're trying to get over something, but I don't feel comfortable with us controlling the budget and stuff and then having all these promises out there floating around that we don't know about that could really come back and bite us. So I guess just putting people on notice, if they've been promised something, they better let us know pretty quick, because we're not going to be obligated to keep the promise unless it's in writing.
Yeah, and if Scott, if you can give me copies of all contracts that were signed by Madison, is that possible?
I've got them.
So that I can review them and see what's going on
Sure.
and what needs to change or happen.
I understand this, setting up a stage for this concert was not even in writing, right? Was it just verbal?
Correct.
So, see.
Yeah, no more verbal contracts. I can't believe that even happened.
Under the law, I'm not a lawyer, under the law, verbal contracts are binding up to.
Well, we do have a handshake law here, so, but
Up for a year, I think.
But we should obviously.
ours needs to be in paper
Stuff it.
and
So I was
detailed.
wondering if we could put a notice in the paper saying,
Yeah.
legal notice, we're not going to keep our promises that aren't in writing, or at least
Right.
let us know right away,
So what are we, so are we first trying to determine, are we even responsible for the extra piece of July 4th? Is that what we're saying? What are we
I think,
discussing?
I think we should uphold it if that's what they were promised, but with little reluctancy here. So
Say that one more time.
I think if they were promised in good faith, then I think we should uphold it.
Oh, I agree.
But then, just anybody else out there, please let us know
Yeah.
if they think they
So-
have some verbal promise about anything, so.
Okay, so then the issue is Ron has billed us 1,500 for the extra services.
Right.
And so I think we need to make a decision on that one.
I'll get our attorney to draw up an addendum and present it to you.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it needs to at least refer back to the original contract.
so table it to the next meeting?
Can I speak?
You are here.
There he is.
Do you have a mic?
Yeah, I did meet with the Parks Director, and Susan is here, and she had, I think, some bookings in principle with a couple of acts. I don't see it with the staging, sound, and so forth. I don't see it going to $10,000. I do believe the CAPC should have a voice in how it's produced. $1,500 is for the sound, lighting. Kind of throwing in the staging if they provide the labor to set it up and take it down.
Are you talking about the CAPC providing the labor?
No, Parks will provide the
Okay.
labor for that, yes. So I do have a contract to provide technical services for CAPC-produced events. This is a park and recreation-produced event. And in the real world, production for something like this would easily be over $2,000. So I'm pricing it at $1,500, and I'm hoping the Parks and Rec will provide some extra labor that we need to make this happen. But in talking with Susan, I don't think the total cost is going to exceed $8,000, talent and production. She can weigh in on that if she wants.
Susan, would you mind stepping up to the podium, Susan? And we're talking specifically about July 4th, is that correct?
Cities, it's going to be like about a 5-day music festival from Friday through Tuesday, and we're handling Sunday's event out at Lake Leatherwood with the fireworks, food truck vendors, children's activities, music, bands, et cetera.
And so you already have the bands booked, the fireworks paid for?
We have 2 of the fireworks are paid for.
Okay.
That was a 3-way split for CAPC, City and us, the Parks Department. And the bands, I'm in talks with them, two of them, we just have to sign the contract, and there's one more pending, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to keep it under 8,000.
And those contracts are for,
So.
For
is it-
July 2nd.
I'm guessing here, is this maybe something like, since the CAPC does music acts and Basin Park and different things, was this kind of a, we can handle some of the, I'm guessing, is that how it came about? Like, we can handle some of the music from the previous CAPC staff, or? how-
What I was told was CAPC would cover the music.
okay, who
Right,
told
and-
you that?
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to when Scott Miskill was the director of Parks.
Was not the director?
He was. That's our former director before
Oh,
Sam, who you met.
Former
Sorry,
director told
sorry,
you
sorry,
that.
That's our
You're
for-
a former
Yeah,
director.
that's our former director.
Okay.
So you don't know, yeah.
Okay.
No. No, I do know him. Yes, I worked for him for a little while before he left, yes.
So I'm guessing that, to a point, is like, like you're booking acts for Basin Park and stuff, for music series, right? And that's kind of a normal operation piece, so I guess that's where the thought came from, supposedly. But you didn't know about it, so when you're going through planning everything. Is that right? We're just trying to understand this.
Last year, the previous staff asked Ron to proceed with finding acts for Basin Spring Park Music Series.
That's not correct.
Okay, that's what you said.
Molly was in charge of booking the Basin Park Music Series last year.
Okay.
Right, but she told you, I was told that she asked you to go out and do that on her behalf.
No, I helped book the 2021 music series in the park. And I just did that because we were up against the wall. Molly was new, and she helped me. I worked with her, and we booked the park series in 2021.
When you say booked, did you pay for it? Is that what you're saying?
No, CBC paid for
Oh.
it.
Okay.
I contacted the acts, negotiated the deals. Molly handled the emails, paperwork essentially, and she actually booked a couple of the acts that she did. So we worked together on that. But
So have you done a Lake Leatherwood thing before?
Have we done?
For 4th of July? Is this
It's been I think I was told it was 3 or 4 years ago was the last fireworks event.
Was,
In fact-
well, I'm sorry, I was asking Ron too.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, that was helpful.
There's been fireworks, I don't know when they stopped.
Have
doing
you-
that there, but have I booked acts?
Well, have you done the stuff before at Lake,
I've done, I've done stages out there, but it's not been.
for us?
No, this was,
Okay,
this was before my contract, I believe, because that's. all
okay.
that, yeah.
So we're trying to understand, like, is this part of your contract? And
I don't see it as that because it's the Parks and Rec.
it hasn't been done before out there by you. That's what I'm getting at.
Not under
So-
the
'cause-
term, not as long as I've had the contract with CAPC.
Okay.
When I was freelancing, yes, but I got paid for it.
Got you.
So I think what we'll need is a separate
Yeah.
contract from you, Ron, for us to sign for the Lake Leatherwood event.
Okay, I was assuming that either way, but I was assuming the Parks was going to get a lump sum and I would bill them for it, but either way, it doesn't matter.
Is that how it works, Scott? Are we giving Parks a lump sum that Ron can
What's
bill
that?
Parks for?
Sounds like we're
It's-
supposed to do
it's-
the main,
it's-
Parks was
so
gonna
why would we give it
submit
to
a bill
Parks?
to CAPC, as the way I understood it, but
I've got to have it itemized. I can't just write Parks a check for X amount of dollars without any detail backup. and it has to be a detailed backup as to how they spent this money, whether it's 2 or 3 line items or 15. I don't know. I've got to have the backup for
I
that.
think we need the invoice for parks to then
Yeah.
make a decision. Don't you? I mean, there's nothing really to decide. We don't even, I thought there was an invoice to Ron. So if it's all to parks, then we should just get a,
Now, Parks could pay him and then present me with an invoice, and I can reimburse Parks.
but, yeah.
And there's two different things. There's booking the base of park, and 4th of July is, my interpretation was it was a Parks and Recreation production. It wasn't a CAPC production, so,
Gotcha.
yeah. Now, booking basin is CAPC production.
But
And
I
so
see.
it's really two separate subjects as far as that goes.
Except, from your point of view, but then the CAPC promised parks. It's confusing, I get it, I think. Do we have any business to do on that?
So, because this says music services payment approval.
Yeah, I thought that was, I thought we had a question about paying Ron
Do we need
for
to-
this.
we need to
in
approve
his
that,
contract.
You do? I think you should.
To do what? Table it
No,
Oh.
we need to approve it for payment.
for Ron, for his 1,500?
Well, he's actually, Ron has asked for $2,500 because of the booking he's done for the music in the park at Basin Spring Park. That's item 1. Item 2, after that, then we start hearing about the 4th of July. And so, knowing that CAPC was going to be spending money for that production at Lake Leatherwood, there's where the $1,500 comes in.
Okay. Can we get a detailed invoice for each commissioner?
I think
Invoice?
we can make a motion, though, to approve $2,500 for music in the park. And so we can set that money aside, and then, of course, Scott wouldn't pay it without a detailed invoice, which I have every confidence in the world that's how he would operate anyway, so. So I make a motion that we approve $2,500 for music in the park to be paid to Ray.
I second that.
I have a motion by Steve Holyfield to approve an invoice for $2,500, payment for $2,500 for music in the park, seconded by Mark Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And then the other part is the 4th of July celebration thing. And so Parks Department will present us with a invoice to pay, we'll pay them and they will pay Ron, right?
Correct.
So I don't think we,
Scott
we need to make a
presented
motion
me-
on that then?
I would, just for the record.
Okay, how much is that?
Well, Ron's requesting $1,500 for his services to assist with the music out there.
Do you have your totals yet?
I don't have the third band total yet.
Yeah, so
So I think we,
One band does 2,200, one band does 500.
right. So right now, we could approve it. I make a motion, we approve $1,500 be paid to Ron for the 4th of July Lake Leatherwood extravaganza. And then if they have anything else they need to put up, they can put that up later. Okay?
And second.
Second, okay, I have a motion with Steve Holyfield to approve $1,500 payment to Ron for his services for the Lake Leatherwood music event, seconded by David Avanzino. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Does that cover everything, Ron,
Majority carries.
Yes.
so far?
Yeah,
And of course,
that covers everything on my end, yes.
right, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. So the firehouse, this is probably more informational. I was hoping we had more people here. But the firehouse has been discussed before at workshops as a office space / visitor center greeting space for CAPC right over here. This is a rendering, I believe the mayor he's an architect, did that. Probably know, just informationally, it's in the $100,000 to $120,000 ballpark. And
I understood that Glenna Booth put in a grant for this a couple of years ago and got the grant. So what are we being asked to?
there's some kind of, something happened with it. It's not there. But something that we've discussed, there's been the thoughts of moving on that. Maybe I should have brought it up at a workshop, I don't know, to have more
Let's
discussion.
talk about the workshop.
Yeah,
Bring it up at the workshop.
I would definitely do a workshop because
Okay. Yep,
this is going to be way more
yes.
than what
yeah,
we think it's
yeah.
going to cost.
I was just not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Any agenda updates we didn't?
I
anything?
do agree with Mr. Santori. Public comments really should be earlier in the agenda. If people do have comments about anything that we have listed to talk about, making decisions and then them coming up, making their comments is kind of closing the door before so it's, I think the city council public comments are kind of in the middle somewhere, aren't they?
No, they're pretty much after financials, Pledge of Allegiance, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I would suggest moving them directly below your comment.
Okay. I really don't have a preference.
But if people are going to come and talk, let's
Yeah.
make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Then it really doesn't matter to me. Commissioner comments? Mr. Abbott-Stevens?
None from me.
Mr. Holyfield?
Let's please try to recruit more commission. We have one vacancy. Let's try to
Yeah.
get that filled. Today's a great example of how one more person. Of course, we appreciate Mark phoning in
Yeah.
and being here. You still there, Mark?
I am still here, and I thank you guys for accommodating me like this. Appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Did you have any comments, Mark?
No, I'm good. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Great.
The only thing I would add is, I understand change causes, there's lots of points of view on how to operate, and I appreciate that. And so like with our time, I voiced my preference, but it's not about me, it's about all of us. And so I think we resolve that. I have a disagreement on the video piece, but you know what? That's what we're sticking with. But there's no agenda. I really want to emphasize that. I stated my opinion. The commission makes decisions, and so I think we're all doing great, working together, working through our various opinions. And
Appreciate everything you do.
guys.
I agree.
Chris.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Chris is doing a lot behind the scenes
Oh.
at home and stuff. And it's got to be hard. I know you got a business to run and stuff too. And we appreciate, Scott, everything you're doing. You're doing a fantastic
Everybody.
job. He's got so much stuff. We're trying to help you out as fast as we can.
I know, and I appreciate that. I know you are. I thank you.
And entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Move we
adjourn.
Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion by David Avanzino to adjourn, second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
Hey, Scott. Scott, can I talk to you about this list?